welcome back to Catch It, Cook It, and Eat It. I'm your host, Ben Sargent. Today we have some real special guests on the show. We're talking about one of my favorite programs in the city. It's called IFISH New York. Let's start this out by asking you what it is exactly IFISH New York is all about.
Well, the IFISH New York program teaches kids to fish in New York City and also gives them aquatic education to go along with that.
Some of them, as far as I know, have never even been to the ocean in some cases.
And we're getting a kid from inner city who's actually doesn't realise that East River's got some of the finest fishing in the world.
Which I think is the coolest thing about the program.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, we're going to go take you out to outer Long Island, show you there's great fishing. It's like, we're going to do this in the park.
We usually fish up to 90 kids.
Whoa! Yeah, in a day.
I mean, even beyond the fishing, they can have some really good experiences on our trip. A lot of times, our environmental conservation officers will come with us on the trips. And one of the great experiences they have is actually that some of these kids meeting a policeman who's nice.
Right.
I'd like to think that we can give them some basic skills that they can go themselves.
Would you say it changes their life when they have the experience of catching a fish?
We've got some proof that that does happen.
Okay. Like I say to them, where else are you going to actually get your hands on something that's actually wild? And to see the kids' faces as soon as they catch that first fish, even if it's just a bluegill, the screams and they're jumping up and down, it's like you can see they're ecstatic.
Yeah. One thing that I always thought was amazing was the kid who was least interested in fishing, who was like kind of bored, was like looking off, was probably not doing what he was supposed to, and it was without fail that kid whose line would go.
But the thing is, you're just getting that initial fish, that a little bit of addiction.
The fishing bug.
You know?
A kid from one of the schools called me up in the office like days later and asked me how he could buy a fishing license.
Really?
Yeah, it was very exciting.
That's awesome.
What is the point of the recreational license?
The fees for freshwater fisheries licenses go right back into the resource.
Okay.
A lot of the work that the DEC does is funded directly by the license fees.
And it also gives the recreation angler, the first time for a marine recreation angler, an economic voice. Because we all have concerns about rules and regulations. But what I say is we're all guilty of exploiting the resource.
What's the other half of what you guys do?
Within the fisheries program, we do IFISH New York, but we also do fisheries surveys and fisheries work. And so part of the fisheries work is, the invasive species part.
And explain to our listeners what exactly is an invasive species.
Yeah, an invasive species is something that's basically a non-native species, something that's not really supposed to be there.
What is one supposed to do with it as a recreational fisherman?
In New York State, you're not supposed to have them alive.
Okay.
If anyone catches one, they're supposed to call the DEC office in their area. In New York City, they call our office.
This has been awesome, and it was a real pleasure to have you guys on the show. And I know I'm cutting into serious fishing time right now.
Snake eyes, 7-Eleven.